All right, I think we are set. So we are set. We'll start off. Huh?
Sure.
So, so finally, we have reached like the third semester, right?
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
and
it's
and another probably 3 months to go.
yeah. I mean, like it was very quick. I think since the program, and now we are in the mid of third semester.
Right.
Uh, just one more semester to go, and it's this program would be over then.
Yeah. Um, and now, when you look in hindsight, how do you feel about the decision to do a master's when, like, we have this nano degrees and all, right?
hmm Yeah, actually, this idea of masters was like I never planned it long term. Like, as in, I had done some certification courses. Well, those were into mostly data science specific and classical ML side. But I somehow actually there are a lot of factors. One of them is that I had a lot of time in my hand apart from my job, so I thought, okay, let me try something challenging. As in, I want to go very deep into this field of AI. Obviously, it's a vast field. It's a huge field. So I was thinking, okay, if I get into some program which will help me do or create certain things in the future, probably not at the very short term, but probably in mid term and all. Probably do some sort of research and also gain a wide variety of knowledge on some of the different aspects of AI, which normally we don't learn often in certification courses,
Mm-hmm.
and also how to augment whatever I'm learning in my job, which is also focused on ML engineering. So that's where this decision of going for masters, and I think it's one of the best decisions for me,
I see.
like
I see.
personally.
So prior to this, how much is your overall experience, and how much is, let's say, a ML, AI, or data science experience prior to joining this?
Total, I have almost 10 years of experience, and experience in AIML is close to 4 years as of today. And yeah, so that's how I have been into this.
So right now, the domain you are in, so you are applying ML over there. So what is the current domain you are in right now?
Yeah, so the domain is the cloud technology space. Basically, I work in a startup, which is a US based startup. And what we do is we do cloud optimizations, as in we take data from our customers who use, suppose, any cloud platform. We collect their data. We have platforms built into a product which extracts the data, and then we have certain algorithms which we run and see how are they using. Are they overusing their resources? How are they spending more than what they should spend? And based on those usages, we track, we give recommendations, we say, okay, look, if you switch from this instance to this instance, you might save this much amount of money.
Okay, okay.
And that's how like we do a lot of forecasting, a lot of regression use case, and also we help them migrate from one cloud platform to another cloud platform. Suppose every one of them are using AWS, they want to switch to Azure. So we help them migrate all their pipelines, data, everything from AWS to Azure, or to say any cloud platform, from any cloud platform to any cloud platform. So this is how we operate. Mostly in product space, we operate. So, from ML perspective, as mentioned, a lot of time series forecasting is what we look at. A lot of regression use cases, anomaly detection also, and recently we moved into a lot of NLP. So we have certain data which are called cloud asset tags, which are textual data. what we do is we try to take those data, group them, and form certain coherent groups so that we can say, look, these are the assets predominantly that you are looking at. So we do a lot of text clustering, and very recently we also switched to LLMs for doing service to process mapping.
Hmm.
That is on the LLM side.
Hmm. 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 Oh, so basically, when you say service to process mapping, it's like a resolution kind of thing, right?
Okay, so what happens is in our systems there are a lot of processes that run, right? Like for example, if we use Chrome browser, so Chrome is one of the processes that is running when we open the task manager, right?
Hmm.
So in a way, there are a lot of system processes that run. What we do is and then there is a path also, which is saying, okay, look, this is the path in which this particular process is running. We have the same data for the cloud now, since we have a lot of virtual machines and a lot of services, like in the sense database service, monitoring service. So what we do is there is something called discovery in a product, which basically runs and collects these service or process details, what all processes are running. But what was happening till now is that there were certain rule-based systems which were trying to gauge, okay, if this is a process running, this is the equivalent service. Is it a database service, monitoring service, system service, which was very much prone to errors. That is where we tried to bring in like if we tune the LLM with some few samples, then the LLM will be able to give us the equivalent service given the process details.
Yeah. So we will discuss more about your domain. It's an interesting domain. But let's come back to the MTech part.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that now that AI/ML has become like a hot cake, right? There would be hordes and hordes of students joining certain programs like us. Correct?
Right.
So when I joined, I think at least for me, the first semester was pretty difficult,
Yep.
and because the reason being, number one was that you were coming into this rigor after a long duration, and for
Mm.
me it was like after 18 years, right?
Okay.
So and you see the breadth of the subjects,
Mm.
like what we have is statistical learning we had, then we had mathematical foundation, we had AI, a computational intelligence,
Mm.
so and we had ML, right? So at least uh, MFML was pretty math heavy,
Mm.
and I mean the thing there is in maths is that they try to cover all scenarios, right? So
Mhm.
they start with a concept. We have few examples on that. They have a certain um, hypothesis, and then they expand that hypothesis to cover everything in the universe. So the
Mm.
knowledge becomes a bit abstract. I mean,
Mm.
you read something, but you won't be able to relate to a real world.
Mm.
So that was pretty struggle, and given that you have to balance both, right, the
Mm.
subjects and all. So how did you kind of deal with this first semester? Was there any systematic approach to going through the lectures, or and that time we are a pretty idealistic, right? In the sense, we want to understand like in depth everything,
Mm.
and for example, if we are starting with vector or something, we want to kind of explore everything, and we
Mm.
need everything to be understood to move ahead, and
Right.
that seemed to be something like a blocker for me. I was not like moving ahead, and
Mm-hmm.
before you realize you have a midterm.
Right.
So
And
it's
assignments and all.
assignments and all. So and it's a learning, right? So we don't know what is going to come, kind of.
Mm.
By second sem probably we set into the pattern. So how did you approach about this? Go about the first sem in particular.
Yeah, so I what I did is when I enrolled in this MTech program, I tried to figure out what all subjects mostly are going to get covered. I mean, not in very detail, but
Mm,
from overall. So I what I did is I did a bit of pre-work in the sense I like for example I started looking into linear algebra from not very depth, but at least to a level that I would find at least the conversations that is happening in the classes a bit relatable. It's not going. Obviously, there were moments where it was totally above my head, but that's how like some of the ACI concepts, like in terms of BFS, DFS, right?
mm,
I tried to learn from my own before the program even started. That's something like a bit of familiarity helps when we enter a new space where
mm,
everything is coming at us at a very high speed and we have to manage also. So one is that I did a bit of pre-work in that sense, some of the topics which I had not much of idea before the MTech. I learned those, tried to implement those, and then it was a bit helpful for me while going through this first sem course.
mm,
Second is my schedule was mostly like my job that I do is it starts late in the day, so I log in at usually 3:30
mm, mm,
and
mm,
continue till late night. So before this part, the entire morning part, I used to dedicate to my MTech studies.
mm, mm, mm.
And obviously, I think when we came and started this program, ChatGPT was also gaining traction. So some of the concepts which I did not understand properly, I used to refer to ChatGPT to
Mm.
explain that.
Right, right, right. Yeah, so that's a good approach because even so, what I have also found is that whatever is like maths heavy, being like a lecture ahead, right, kind of helps in the class.
Mm.
Uh, Not always possible to go ahead, but at
Yeah.
least it helps in the linking, and you are not totally blank.
Right.
So yeah, so apart from that, did you kind of dedicate some regular hours per every day and like a more over the weekend kind of approach?
Yeah, yeah. So as I said that initially, I mean till now also, the morning part, the morning half from like 9:30 10 till I would say 1:30 in the noon, I dedicate for studies only, and that's where I do all this kind of if there are assignments or study for quizzes. So those I actually usually take over at that time. And yeah, weekends anyways I dedicate more time to the studies apart from classes.
So how do you take the a topic? So for example, uh, when I want to learn a topic, and what I consider that topic to be complete is when I have followed the maths,
Mhm.
I have followed the higher level concepts, and then I have done a coding on that,
Mhm.
right? So that is when I consider the topic to be complete in my mind, because from ground up is to the level what we want. Probably
Mhm.
doing a research is the another level on top of it, but these three are the basics. So do you also follow like a similar kind of thought process over there?
Yeah, like for many topics, especially in MFML, where the classes, we saw it was going towards theoretical more or less.
Mm,
Initially, it was very theoretical. So what I used to do is I used to take those topics, learn them, understand them, dig deep into them from other channels like YouTube and all,
mm,
and then like for example, I this LU decomposition, if we
yeah.
um, as you looked at, so I tried to implement that in actually Python and see how it is kind of coming.
Mm,
Some of the eigenvalues, eigenvectors also,
mm,
initially I used to code in Python.
yeah.
So this helps a lot when we try to understand any subject, not just from theoretical, but also implementing them on a code base. So that
Yeah.
kind of helps in the learning.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the
Yeah. I remember one of the webinars in the first semester. One of the guy was taking the webinars, and he was telling that like LU decomposition and eigenvalues are like the most pillars. He was
Mm,
telling that I am in research now, but I use them thorough and thorough,
right,
right? And it seems to be true, right? Going forward, because
right.
those two concepts, apart from, so those two concepts are like makes the life easier, right, from
Mm,
mathematical perspective. And uh, and but now we have some pretty good resources which help us visualize, like that three blue
three blue, one brown.
one brown, right? So that guy kind of has given us a means of visualization.
Mm,
But when initially when I was taking at this MFML, I
mhm.
had this approach to kind of trying to visualize everything.
Yeah.
And a bit late I found that that probably is not true for every case. At many concepts you have to take like a formula and a proving kind of way,
Ah,
because many topics are very concept. So that was one of the slowness causing phase of MFML,
mm.
which I kind of realized. So do you have a similar view over there? Like I kind of like visualization, and it helps me, but not every concept in mathematics can be visualized.
Uh, yeah, so visualizations, obviously, I checked out a couple of videos from three blue, one brown, especially the eigenvalues, eigenvectors, the projections and transformations and all. So, but I never focused much on visualization because I obviously there was a huge time constraint, and
Hmm.
second is um, uh, there were other topics
Hmm.
which I wanted to first understand rather than visualize something which I at least know a bit.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So my focus was more like whatever topics are coming, at least get a basic ground level done.
Hmm.
So I like in the class it was sometimes very difficult. Not sometimes, most of
Hmm.
the time it
Hmm.
was very difficult to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I used to do, take the topic, go to YouTube, go to thousand other resources,
Hmm.
at least understand the groundwork, and then when the moment comes, use it.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
That's how I wish to follow.
Another interesting subject we had is statistical learning, right? Which like we are now using almost everywhere, right? This bias rule
Hmm.
and bias theorem is like a foundation of NLP, large
Hmm.
language and models. But the good thing I found out was that topic was light,
Hmm.
and it was explained with a lot of examples in a very efficient way. So,
Right.
I believe you had a similar experience, and probably it was due to largely due to the professor as well.
Actually, the topic of statistics. So, I mean, in 2019, I actually look. I apart from doing like I'm doing MTech now, but I have already done MBA,
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Yeah.
uh, full-time MBA from IIM Lucknow.
Hmm,
So
hmm,
there we had this subject called quantitative analysis in business.
hmm,
There, for the first time, we got introduced to this hypothesis testing, probability distributions, and this initial linear algebra, even to the point of simplex and all, like linear programming, goal programming, all those things.
hmm, hmm, hmm,
There it was crazy because I was not at all understanding anything. And it took me several months to first understand what is a hypothesis testing and what is this p value, what is this z score.
hmm,
I
hmm, hmm,
never used to understand. Lot of effort went into that, and then I realized, okay, this is something. Even Bayes theorem was also not very like, it was very heavy for me there during that time. So after that experience, so I literally actually was like on the marginal side of that subject. Like out of 100, I remember I scored 46. It was that bad. But that somehow helped me like understand that okay, this is how base theorem works, or this is how hypothesis testing works, and then I did certification course, as I said, and it was like comfortable. And by the time it came to MTech, it was like already revising what I already know.
Hmm.
So,
So,
and yes,
so
the
on that experience, the IM experience, do you think the subject was taught in a complex manner over there, or because I felt that for at least in our MTech, right? It was pretty, I mean, okay, and probably I would contribute a large fact to the professor. Uh, but do you think that there is like a or maybe more complex subjects are taught, more complex and advanced topics are taught there?
um, actually there were other factors. So, I would say that it was taught in a proper way and in the way it should be taught.
Mm-hmm.
But the factor was that we had classrooms. So my seat was at the very end,
Mm-hmm.
very end, and we had almost 50 students in the class.
Mm-hmm.
What used to happen is that some of the classes were early morning, and we used to stay late up in into the night, and we were like kind of we already did not have like good sleep and all, and then we used to go to class, and at the very
Mm-hmm.
end of the class you sit there and complex topics are taught and there is this AC running, you fall asleep.
Yeah, yeah,
Once you fall you asleep, and then it's very difficult to recover and learn from. You have to learn from your peers at that time, but those were the factors actually which took which actually pushed me in learning later like
mm-hmm.
properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
uh, yeah, but here I don't assume those factors are there. We are in comfort of our homes.
yes, yes. So that is kind of one of the advantage of this online course, right?
Right.
I mean, even if you sleep in the class, you have a recording to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's one of the benefits. So if you from the first semester, if you want to pick subjects, do you think all were equally important, or there was any subject which probably not much relevance later on, kind of?
uh, I would say ML, ACI is artificial computational intelligence, and MFML. Um, these three, and statistics, ML, statistics, and uh, MFML. I
Mm-hmm.
think these three were more important than the ACI.
Mm-hmm.
CI was like, okay, I mean, those are classical techniques, the search techniques. I mean, they're good for foundations for like reinforcement learning,
Mm-hmm.
as I look at them. But from what I do in the job, I think more or less the three subjects of statistics, machine learning, and the linear algebra
Mm-hmm.
foundations were more in line
Yeah, right,
with what I do.
right, right. So yeah, for ACI perspective, I think it's more like a 10,000 feet view of AI, where
Mhm.
they kind of very true. I mean, it's a kind of more of traditional how the AI has evolved
Mm.
over years, but it kind of takes a very high level view of the subject of AI, right?
Mhm.
Because it introduced like almost every concept in which we drill down more details, right? It covered all the three types of learnings.
Mm.
That the concepts of agents were there. Then we had this concepts of gradient descent, beam search, all those things. So it's a much wider, and probably what I feel is that if we had struck to a problem
Mm.
which doesn't have a parallel,
Mm.
probably those concepts, right,
Mm.
could be revisited, and probably it can be adapted to a domain and come up with something.
Right.
So, it provided that kind of bit of a broader spectrum of the topics over
Right. Right.
there.
Yeah.
Now, from second sem, we started with electives, right? So,
Hmm.
tell me your thought process behind going to the electives. What you factors you consider to go for an elective?
Okay, so I think in second semester, two electives we
Yeah.
were allowed.
Hmm.
I always thought that NLP is something which is a must,
Hmm.
because given what we have as use cases in the industry, more or less, it's
Hmm.
somehow like NLP, more or less. So many use cases. So
Hmm.
NLP was one, and coming to the other, so I thought that one important aspect of being an ML engineer is to understand how the resources are getting utilized underneath,
Hmm.
the computational aspect of it, and also understand, given some pretty hefty workloads, how do you optimize, how to make them efficient and all.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's where is ML SysOps was like the another choice for me, and I think I really like that, like those two subjects when I look back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I had also taken the similar one, and this MLOps was the same rationale behind that, because this is a problem. It's very relevant in industry, and
Exactly.
and and luckily the professor was he his in my opinion he was quite knowledgeable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I found him knowledgeable.
yeah.
His teachings were a bit, I would say, I mean, the class strength used to be very low. That's what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he explained them actually pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. And given that he probably is a like a OS kind of uh, teacher in the past, he was
Mhm.
he was able to link from memory level to a, let's say,
Mhm.
application parallel processing level. And I think that was the first class where we got introduced to uh, 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 if I say the final project was more research oriented.
Right.
Otherwise, the other projects were more like assignments were more like a well-defined problem.
Exactly, exactly. This
So,
was very much real. I mean, close to real life project, as
hmm,
in to spin up our own clusters. They had given, but they have to install the dependencies and into the nodes, run
hmm,
Spark jobs. At least I used Spark
hmm,
for the distributed processing. So it was very much in line with what we deal with in the real world.
right, right, right. And yeah, other positive was probably on those CUDA programming.
Coda, right? It actually, I literally, like frankly speaking, I went to Nvidia site and I bought this Coda programming course from Nvidia, and they open up a shell where you can actually do this programming,
Hmm,
Coda programming,
hmm, hmm, hmm,
and they had a slide of how this GPUs were, getting used, how these blocks were getting created, the warps and all. They
hmm,
had this entire slide, and I remember when just going through that slide from NVIDIA, uh, things were a lot more like clear to me. When Prof
hmm, hmm,
took the class, I had a lot of doubts. As
hmm,
in, like I did not get a lot of concepts.
hmm, hmm,
How
hmm,
these blobs and all blocks were getting created, the factors and the multiples, the grids and all. But I just looked at that PPT and it was crystal clear. And to this day, I remember I wrote the same thing when this question came into the exam.
hmm, 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 hmm.
So and I have actually taken this fact that I will work on CUDA programming in future.
Oh, that's good. That's good because they are the pioneers, right, of
Right.
this deep learning.
And also it helps understand on a low level how everything is
Hmm.
getting managed, so
Correct.
it,
Correct.
it introduces us to the low level interactions with the system and all,
Mm-hmm.
which we
Yeah.
often overlook.
Yes. Yes. So definitely, yeah. Even ML system optimization is something which I would like to carry as a badge of honor, um,
Exactly.
because this is a kind of a niche skill. Uh,
Exactly.
It's a niche skill, and it's something which will keep on expanding,
Right.
and the demand keeps on increasing. Other than that, we also had a RL. So, how was your
Mhm.
experience on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was okay
Hmm.
for me.
Hmm.
Uh, there were things which I had to learn a lot from YouTube to
Hmm.
understand really, like the value iteration, then policies and all. I mean, I used to get a hang of it in the class, but how this practically these things were happening,
Hmm.
uh, that thing I learned from YouTube mostly.
Yeah.
But it's a great subject.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
has unlimited potential.
You're right.
Uh, RL is one of my favorite subjects. Like the way it is used, integrated in AI today, and
Hmm.
used in AI, it's unbelievable.
Right, right, right. I think it's contributing indirectly to the success of
Exactly.
LLMs, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Because of that, the feedback loop,
Right.
where the human gets involved and is improving the system.
Exactly.
So that concept they have borrowed from RL, and they have put it as a good engineering step.
Right. Right.
So just to talk about the format of the semester, right? So generally, what we have is we have a mid sem. Before that, we have a set of 8 lectures.
Mm.
Afterwards, we have a set of 8 lectures. In the first half, when 4 lectures are done, we get a quiz and a assignment.
Mm.
And after the mid sem, when 4 lectures are done, we get a quiz and a assignment.
Mm.
So for the quiz, um, do you think a person has to go through the entire subject, or just the lecture slides are enough?
I would say depends, but I mean, someone who has familiarity with that subject extensively might not need like a lot of resources to understand. They might just go through the slides, and that should be good for them. But if someone is not familiar, then they have to invest. Even though the quizzes might be very like it's simpler, it's compared to mid-sem and sem, but at least it refreshes a lot of the concepts which are taught in that last few classes, which is very crucial, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, I had to revisit a lot of my notes and a bit of lectures as well sometimes to understand the concepts before taking the quiz.
Right. And do you think that the quality of the professor, easiness of the subject also goes into selecting a elective?
I think it's very much correlated
Hmm.
uh, because how good a prof teaches,
Hmm.
irrespective of the subject, is I think a very good factor, a very crucial factor in
Hmm.
choosing the subject.
Hmm.
For the core courses, we don't have any choice, but
Hmm.
for the electives, yes, I think it's my opinion
Hmm.
that sometimes choice of prof helps a lot.
Hmm.
Um, like for me personally, I chose VA's video analytics over computer vision just because of this reason.
Hmm.
uh, but I mean it again, the choice again is like very subjective, and for someone who um, doesn't give that much importance to the prof but just want to learn the subject, they might choose it anyways. I mean, they don't then look, but I feel that prof do play a big role in like for example, the math heavy subjects,
Hmm.
the MFML subject that was core, but like GNN, a lot of students did not take GNN just because the subject is inherently tough, and also the prof is very math oriented,
Hmm.
which might not be a cup of tea for a lot of students.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's where I see.
But the good thing about MFML in the first sem is, right, it kind of prepares you for the worst.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I don't feel that GNN is too tough math wise, and probably that is because of our experience in the first sem,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Someone with in PGM also last sem, they would be even more comfortable with GNN.
right. We being the first WILP batch in AI and ML, probably we didn't have that knowledge about professors. What I see, what I say. So only the repeat professors probably gave us that luxury, but certainly the about the professors we had to make mind only in the orientation, right? If they were new, if they were new. I feel that the one of the electives choice is probably related to the work as well, how relevant it is to the work.
Exactly.
For example, in my case, my company as a policy doesn't deal with video analytics, or
Mm,
they say that this is like a more of a PI domain stuff, so they have
mm,
totally come out of it. So
mm,
that was the reason I didn't go for VA. And the other reason was that I had done a VA course back in 2019.
mm,
Though the scenarios changed a lot since. So those were the factors for not taking VA. And and at least in the third sem, one of the factor is that I wanted one at least subject to be easy,
okay.
because um, because of that probably I took one of the subjects, because it's more like uh, you already know everything of it because you are dealing with it, right? And it's more like it's putting a formal or giving a name to what you are dealing with.
Mm,
Well,
exactly.
so easiness of the subject was probably one of the criterias, at least in third sem. And that varies, right? Because it can happen that in your professional line you want to focus on the professional life that sem,
Mm,
right? Rather than because now we know that it's moving fast,
mm,
right? And probably what we studied now might become, you never know, might become redundant.
relevant. Yeah.
So it's always pick the subjects which makes the foundations,
Exactly.
which you can
Right.
build on whatever might be the change, right? So
Exactly.
I think from that perspective, probably ML, RL, MLOps,
Mm-hmm.
and if you go the textual domain, the NLP
Right.
subjects, right?
NLP subjects.
Those
Right.
are those are important because what I feel is in the LLM world, even the LLMs, they are not good in bounding themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you give them a unbounded problem, right, the usual problem of hallucination comes.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you have to give them bounded problems.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like, don't give them like, you find this for me. Give
Mm-hmm.
them a problem. You already like find something which is of wider scope, let's say top 20 or something, and then you
Mm-hmm.
go to LLM and say, just rank them for me.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of problem probably they solve, at least in mission critical projects, right, where accuracy is important. So this
Mm-hmm.
bounding stuff, this LLM core concepts help a lot.
Right.
So yeah, so in addition to LLM, the core LLM concepts, which I feel LLM has probably solved NLP as a domain.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, whatever concept we have in NLP is solved, right? So that was the reason for NLP part, at least for me. Yeah, and then mostly we deal with textual data in our work lives.
Exactly.
So that was a reason for me. So now coming back to your work life, so you are, I believe, you from the description you are in a domain probably which is more on the unsupervised side.
No, we have supervised use cases as well. Like, for example, we predict what is going to be, suppose, CPU usage, like number of cores. In the um, like we have a lot of data points where we know given some of the factors um, the type of instances used, number of instances used, and there are other factors on the cloud side, and then say that this is the CPU cores, this is the throughput, this is the response time, or this is the latency. So each one of them can be a label, and the other factors are the independent variables, and this becomes a classic regression problem. So this is a supervised use case that we have. Um, Not sure if time series. I think it's supervised only. I mean, it's an autoregressive problem. Uh,
Yes, kind of.
Kind of. So that is there. So yeah, unsupervised, supervised, both are there.
So how so if, and I'm not too much in this domain, right? So if, let's say, I have to treat something as my training data,
Mm-hmm.
so in this case I need to have, let's say I'm calling it logs, so I'm believing these are logs, right? What we are the CPU users and all. So to say that this log corresponds to this user profile, and when
Mm-hmm.
I say user profile, I'm talking about the cloud account, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of, you might have a collection of logs which are like depending on different user profiles,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a labeling corresponding to it based on the matrices. So
Mm-hmm.
do you do kind of a first level of grouping as well, that before pushing it to the, because you will have this value problem, right? The value might fluctuate a lot.
So we don't maintain them as like what we do is we have agents or we install our product in the cloud accounts of our customers. So whenever we have them onboarded, we do deep discovery. So deep discovery is one of our products which we install them, and then what it does is it extracts the data and loads it up in different databases that we have. Mostly we load it up in Elasticsearch. It's an indexed database, a NoSQL database, and also distributed as well. And that becomes our source of truth. And from that Elastic, then we have data pipelines which extract these details or whatever details or these parameters, the cores, the RAM, the CPU, and all these things, latency, throughput. These get we extract them from the database, and then we process them, we do predictions and all, and then accordingly we send them either to SQL database or we send them to MongoDB, and then from there subsequent downstream processes take place. So we don't group them in a way that yeah, in a way that you're thinking, but essentially what Elasticsearch does, it does indexing. Uh, so if you say that it inherently does a bit of like a grouping in itself when the data is loaded as per the index values. We don't do anything on our side to group any kind of thing unless we need to form groups and show it to customer that look, these are the groups and all, which I think text clustering was one example, the asset tags. But yeah, we don't do any kind of grouping.
When you bring in this data, is it just one customer data or historical data from other customers are also in there?
So we form one environment particularly for that customer. So that environment has its own Elasticsearch, own MongoDB, own SQL database, everything. So whenever a new customer comes, that environment, it's a separate environment from other environments. It has its own login credentials, own security policies, and all. And when we load them, these databases hold only that customer's data, and that's how we segregate. And whenever we need to pull data for our pipelines or any kind of reporting and all, we just invoke those environments and give their specific credentials, and we get the data accordingly.
So, let's talk about the work life, and I will pick up subjects and you tell whether you have applied there or not. MFML directly. So when I'm
uh,
saying directly, no libraries,
no, MFML directly, no.
through libraries.
Yeah, I mean, like whatever ML libraries use inherently
Mm-hmm.
underneath, but no, directly no.
Statistical.
Yeah, statistics, we do some sort of inference. We have done hypothesis tests
Mm-hmm.
on the data.
Mm-hmm.
And we have done, I think all those EDA and all those use some of the statistical techniques, the outliers, the initial outliers and all.
Mm.
So yeah, statistics we have used directly in my
What about ACI?
ACI, no. Uh,
Maybe simulated annealing, wherein you are changing a value with a time.
No, I would say these concepts, even though if we want to use simulated annealing or genetic and all, those will come into the like domain of hyperparameter tuning. More or less, they come there.
Mm.
I mean, other than that, I would
Mm-hmm.
really have to struggle to use them in any work
Uh-huh.
scenarios.
Right.
But even in hyperparameter tuning, we mostly use Bayesian optimization,
Mm.
so which is even more powerful than these classical techniques. So
Mm-hmm.
not much of use of ACI.
What about a ML topic where you had to go a bit deeper than the library uses?
So we had to do a lot of pre-processing for our time series data. I think in ML we were not taught time series the way we have to use because it's way more deep. This is where this part comes, where we have to extract trend, seasonality. We have to see if the model is additive or multiplicative. We have to see if the data is stationary or not. This again ties back to ISM, because in ISM we had time series a bit in the end, and we do a lot of those tests, the Dickey Fuller tests, and we use ARIMA based models, Holt Winter models, and there are other ones like Prophet by Facebook, and there is something called Deep AR by AWS. That's their own custom time series model based on I think RNN neural networks. DPR is the name. And we have also used, I think this is one interesting juncture where we have used a CNN LSTM model also in one of our pipelines to predict the throughput of the system.
Right. RL.
Actually, RL, no, not directly as of now, but we do have one scenario where I won't say it's RL. So there is a concept of using multi-arm bandit in in a scenario where you have a production model ready, or it is running, but you have a newer version of the production model. You want to do the test to see if your current production model is actually going to improve over the existing one.
Right, right, right.
So we have our use case of multi-arm bandit there to check this fact, but we have not used that as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
so in that domain we have this multi-arm bandit. You can have this A/B testing,
A/B testing.
and then you have like a green blue box testing, wherein
Uh,
you have like a, it's more like a disaster recovery. You
yeah,
have one, and then so that
hypothesis testing and all
yeah,
cannot.
right. So that is RL. So it's a concept of RL you have used there. What about um, deep learning? I probably this is it should be used. I believe.
It, it is used, yeah.
Yeah.
Like as I said, CNN and HTM is
Hmm.
one use, I think. Yeah.
Did you happen to take fact ML?
No, no, no. I did not.
I think this is the one subject which I think I should have taken but missed out. But I intend to kind of catch up on that. So
Mhm.
that is one subject. Then NLP concepts, yes, most of it. Hmm.
Yeah, NLP lot of usage. As I said, we have used NLP for text clustering. We have used autoencoders also to reduce the dimensions of the embeddings. We use sentence transformers to create embeddings. And as I said, LLMs for the entire service process mapping. So a whole lot of NLP.
What about the third sem? How many subjects you choose because you had a on your back of mind you want to do research?
Mm. ADL is one which directly ties back to what I actually want to do in research. So the entire scope of GANs, diffusion models, energy and flow models, these are very much into the space of generative AI and a lot into the research. So I'm very fascinated with GANs. I have an obsession with GANs. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
would like to say.
Yeah.
Into the fact that I want to design novel architectures in GANs. Like, for example,
Mm-hmm.
PyGAN. It has two
Mm-hmm.
generators and one discriminator based on
So,
the scenario. So, ADL is one subject that I would say is purely on the research based. GNN, I didn't. I mean, if I get chance to do research in the space of graphs and all, I mean that's very good. But I don't expect. I mean, I will get chance in research at least on the GNN side. But I do have a good use case of GNN in my organization.
mm,
So there is something called Kubernetes. We also look at Kubernetes data of our customers. We extract those data, and Kubernetes data is actually mapped like it has cluster Kubernetes cluster. It has node groups. Right? Within node groups, it has different nodes, and within nodes, it has pods, containers, and there are namespaces, services. This entire thing can be easily captured in a graph
yeah.
and one of actually I do take interviews for my company where there was one candidate who has done GNN based anomaly detection on Kubernetes data, which is actually a very potential use case in our startup.
Yeah. So that would be a way to kind of detect which pod probably has a hot spotting and all.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, GNN is one. Then what we have NLPA. NLPA is not for research, at least for me.
Ah,
It
right,
is
right,
more from application standpoint.
right, right, right.
And
So, mm-hmm.
VA I did not take for research at all. I
Mm-hmm.
just took VA just to have one subject from a computer vision standpoint. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And I did not take CA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So VA. Tell me this thing since you talked about this GANs, right? And I also imagine that I remember seeing a video where there was a horse running around, and through GAN they were converted into a giraffe. So that
Hmm.
was like a magical moment for me, in the sense, what I was thinking was that, let's say I have a movie, and I like the
Hmm.
movie, but I'm a fan of, let's say, other star. How about I replace that
Ah,
guy with that movie star,
yeah. That
right?
is
So
classic GAN.
the classic gun. So that seemed magical. But having said that, now that this LLMs, and when we talk about the visual side, we have this stable diffusion models, right? Both of them, I
Hmm.
believe, are transformer based models. Don't you think that they have a GAN kind of generative kind of attributes to them? And in context of that, how much does this traditional GAN topics still fit in? So in the GAN, probably the way is that you are doing the forgerer and a detector kind of approach, where both keep on improving each other to the extent that you can't distinguish a forgerer, right?
Right.
And then on this side we have this LLMs and stable models, and by the way, OpenAI kind of, they have released one Sora model, right, which is a creative domain.
Hmm.
So um, this also have aspects of creativity on it. So how does this ADL concept of GAN and kind of relevant, or are there any advanced use cases of it?
Actually, GAN is something which you can modify as per your needs. So if you replace the GAN, the generator and discriminator, especially the generator with suppose um, like 1D conf, it can take time series data. If it replace it with conf 2D, it can take images. Conf 3D, it can take videos.
Mm-hmm.
If you put sequence to sequence models in generator, it can take text as input, some sequence data also, like proper text. So the way I look at it is that GANs, for me, GANs take minimal data, like not much data, to give something, to generate something within that specific domain or data set.
Mm.
Whereas these LLMs are way more complex because they have been trained on huge corpuses,
Mm.
and they have decoder architectures, but they have been improved through RLHF and all to make sure that they don't go overboard and to like to take care of the ethical sides and all.
Mm-hmm.
GANs look at very specific set of data points. You don't train GANs with. I mean, you can train GANs with as much data as possible, but GANs can be adapted to any kind of data first, and second is you can work with GANs even you have a smaller set of data.
Okay.
You don't need giant corpuses, and GANs are something again like can do with LLMs also. You can tweak the architecture as per your needs. GAN also can help that, and it can help you work with like different aspects or different types of data, not just text data. It can work with images, videos, audio signals,
Mm-hmm.
anything that you wish. It's just on the architecture side. That's where
Mm-hmm.
I think GANs are.
Well,
Yeah.
what about the scalability aspect of GANs? Are they like as scalable as probably a transformer? What transformer has done to the other areas?
So GAN scalability, I would still say that I mean, I have to look at that. I cannot make that comment as of now. I have to look at the scalability aspect. But given what I know is that transformers are inherently scalable, very much scalable.
Yeah.
GANs, if the network is too heavy, then we might have to look at those kind of techniques where which we looked in ML sysops.
Mm.
Probably the same set of techniques like quantization and all we might have to look at, but I
So
have to see.
is there a scope of kind of and probably it would might be done right that the decoder and encoder they are like transformer based
Mm.
and does the GAN thing.
I think transformers can be incorporated in GANs as well. So we can incorporate, but the thing is, transformers need a lot of data points. So it does depend on that aspect a lot, how much data points you have. But scalability is something I have to look into again. As said, it's not a fixed architecture. It's very much open to interpretation, like what you want to do and what kind of data you want to feed in and get output, image, audio data. That's where it all. I mean, it's very specific to the use case that is there. If it's a very huge GAN, it's like a very complicated GAN, then a lot of time will go into scaling that can
Right,
you want
right,
to deploy
right,
and all.
right. Wow, how is VA? I have not taken VA, but how is VA as a subject?
VA, okay. For me, VA is like the first half is more into the classical techniques of video segmentation, motion detection, motion estimation. It has a bit of MRF, like macro random fields, CRF, conditional random fields, Gibbs theorem, and all those signal processing things. Um, and now we are slowly moving into deep learning sides of it. It has different architectures, like even graph cuts are there in VA. I think it has a like. I mean, the way it is going is good only. I mean, I don't see a lot of faults in that. Yes, it's again my opinion, but it is something which where you have to deal with specifically video data. It's a very different kind of domain. Unless you have videos, you will not use VA
So
techniques.
so yeah, so it's most uh, so this object segmentation and all, image segmentation and all. image segregation and all. These are part of computer vision, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a bit of overlap is there, but more or less, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's based.
So I believe the video analytics could be used a lot of this surveillance domain or like automatic triggering of things, and probably computer vision. Both are pretty close. Only thing is that in computer vision you are dealing with images mostly, and a
Hmm.
video is like a frame moving faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And probably that is where you need to kind of uh, correlate this time spatial thing over there.
Spatial temporal, yes.
So that's what the VA thing is.
VA find most in use case on the CCTV camera footage, and I mean, according to me, anywhere if you put CCTV, whether it's industry, whether it's a
Hmm.
shop or a retail chain,
Hmm.
and one more is the self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
A lot of video processing, analysis, segmentation needs to be done there.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think these are two of the biggest
Uh,
uh, parts where VAs are like very
hmm.
prevalent.
So back in I think 2015 and 16, I had worked with this video analytics products, and it is typical use case was like intrusion detection and all,
Mm,
and it was pretty good, and it used to do the things in a traditional way.
mm,
And we had deployed it in one of the biggest steel plants in India, and so they were dealing with this problem of this scrape theft. So people
mm.
will climb over the boundary and get the steel, and they will have a whole ecosystem of steel based kind of thing. So that was a pretty, I mean, relevant use case, and so like you said, right, it can be very much relevant in the industry.
Right.
So now coming to, do you think any subject which you think in hindsight you should have taken?
Um,
For example, for me, fact is something I missed.
yeah, I think fact ML is something which is very, very relevant today.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I mean, if I had taken or if I had the chance in second sem, I would have taken fact ML.
I think that time we were like fighting between this specialization in deep learning versus specialization in NLP, right? That the constraints, right?
Right.
That what you want to do, and so
Uh,
basically you want to. So what is the specialization you have finally agreed or thought to?
I have thought of deep learning.
Okay, okay. I have taken the NLP and I have aligned the things like that.
Even though FactML was in deep learning actually, but I took NLP because of the popularity.
Popularity and probably relevance as well.
Relevance, popularity, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. So
Nothing date without NLP.
yeah, so now new joinees to the program. What
Hmm.
advice to them?
My advice would be to, if they are coming into this program, just try to learn as much as possible, because marks I don't think is something at the end of the day it won't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we have to keep the grades so that you progress through the program and complete the program successfully. But more than marks, I think it's the learning and how you use that learning in the day-to-day job, or if you want to do research. So for me, it's mostly the learning aspect. Obviously, we can't spend way more than what we can allot, because we do have jobs and all. But that's the only message that you have to learn. And there will be certain scenarios where things will go above the head, and you have to just keep patience and be with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like keep on grinding. That's
Mm-hmm.
the bottom line.
And regarding the prior experience before joining this ML, do you think a prior experience? I would believe definitely it helps,
Hmm.
but should we, as a advice, give to somebody who wants to is taking the course because he wants to break into the field, or do you think that probably I mean, in my mind there are two set of people, right? One, they
Mm,
are taking the degree to break into the field, and there are other set of people who have certain amount of experience and they have gone into this for the structured learning part of it,
mm.
and getting more depth, right? Because probably in the work they have learned as and when the job has demanded.
I think there's one more category where they just only want degrees. So that is also.
Yeah, true. And then probably there would be a long-term goal, right? And one could be like becoming a passion for teaching profession, and
Uh,
or probably a promotion aspect of it.
Promotion, yeah.
Yeah.
Or go to other countries where this is,
Where there is a weightage for that. Yes, yes,
yeah.
very true. So that is a third category. But to the question, do you think that prior experience, one should try to gain some learnings
Mm,
either on the job or before getting into, because I remember like at least I got call from at least one person who was like very much in a zone that what should I do because
mm.
my work is not allowing, should I drop off and all.
Okay.
So what is the advice there?
I mean, if obviously the easy answer is if you have a if you have some amount of ML idea, knowledge, or experience, it will be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first semester when the classes start, it will be a roller coaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if someone who is not that much familiar into ML, for them it will be a very very rocky ride, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So prior experience to ML definitely will help,
Mm-hmm.
or even if it's experience or knowledge, any form.
Mm-hmm.
Second is if they don't have and still want to break into ML, uh, that is also like a very good option. I mean, you have the foundations, but this degree alone will not give you that that I mean, it will help you in understanding a lot of foundations, the theory part of it, but to
Mm-hmm.
get into a job which is ML specific needs more on the practical side,
Yeah.
which I think it's not covered in this MTech.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True.
So that's where I think someone who wants to break into this should also understand the industry requirement. They're not going to ask very depth, crazy math formula. They want to understand what's the practical implication of it and how do you use that. And in most of the cases, they'll ask for prior work experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I think this part of connecting between the academia to the industry is something which we have to work on your own, apart from the tech.
Yeah, so I think in WILP they use this term called as exponential learning, right? I've
Right.
used few professors, and I believe that's possible if there is not a friction between your what you do in your work and what you are learning here.
Exactly, exactly.
Otherwise, it's like something pulling you in two different directions.
They can try to implement some of the use cases if they are not into ML, ML use cases in their current job.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you have to keep trying if things are not working out for you because it's not going to work initially.
Right. What about assignments? So, and that is like yes. So we have been at least I in one subject was randomly assigned to a group, and
Mhm.
and then suddenly you would have also faced this problem. There are certain inactive members and there are certain active members, and
Mm.
at least I was lucky even in that case to have at least one active members, right?
Yes.
So, how do you deal with this assignment part? Because finally you are, so this is like a team activity, and then probably the non-responsiveness of other party might be very much due to the work we don't know, or maybe certain conditions, and there
Mm.
could be a genuine cases. But and then given that. we have dealt with, do you come up with a strategy as to form how to form a group and all
Mm.
in the in and how do you take about the assignment? Is it like a last 2 days kind of thing, or
Mm.
kind of working through so we get like a 2 weeks, right, almost.
Right. What I do usually is, again, this is like, uh, I'm being a bit fortunate. I've been a fortunate person here that I do have some context on what's the assignment. Like, especially for the first sem in ML, there was this assignment, and I remember that in my group mates they were not having ML experience. So what I did, what I do is I first start the assignment no matter how, like with whatever I know, do a bit of reading here and there, search here and there, what's all there in the space, get at least to some traction. Now, once you have some sort of traction, you have suppose chosen the data set, or you have suppose built the scratch architecture. The next point would be to improve on it. So that's where what I do is, if suppose there are people who know a bit, they search on it and then they add on to what I have built, and then it moves forward. But if suppose if if your group members are not having experience, then um, at least start somewhere and then uh, continue and see how till what it goes. I mean, it becomes difficult actually if the experience is not there, but still some sort of or you can take help from people who are into other groups, or but they have idea about it. They can suggest what at least needs to be done to get started. Once it starts, you find the traction, and we should not wait for last 2 days before. That's a horrible idea.
Now coming to our batch, right? Do you and I see in our batch probably there are some people who do knowledge sharing, and that's good about the batch. But do you think there are certain aspects probably we should have? So basically, one of the reasons of coming into a MTech and basis for a wider ecosystem of known friends, right? Whom so basically everyone has this circle of competence, right?
Hmm.
And if you need to go outside the circle of competence, you need to rely on somebody.
Hmm.
And probably the part of this structure learning is to have those pockets of competence known to you. So
Hmm.
do you think that we kind of have missed on this kind of um, um, what do I say, forming clusters kind of thing?
That eventually always happens when there is a group learning involved.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but at the end of the day, what I feel is it's a personal growth, no matter how many groups you are into.
Mm-hmm.
So this program we have chosen just to gain something and use it or enrich yourself in the
Mm-hmm.
future. Like in the future, you want to use it or apply it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's always a personal growth story rather than Obviously, groups will be there to help you, to guide you, help you in spaces where you're not sure, or new spaces where you have not ventured before. But you have to, at the end of the day, internalize and put it to some concrete form so that you gain that and you move ahead and apply it. You do something to create
Mm-hmm.
something out of it. So that's what I feel that, yeah, there might be groups and clusters everywhere, but
Mm-hmm.
the end point should be learning. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I feel
Uh,
about
so,
this.
so, so my take on that, right? And probably, uh, I feel that the higher you grow, right, you need to have allies in different places,
Mm-hmm.
because when you grow higher up in a career, you need links. You
Mm-hmm.
need links after a certain point of time to even change a job, right? Because the higher you go, the more internal the hirings are.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So from that perspective, probably networking is one of the key goals we should have from a beginning of of our careers. And I have seen and then this and I am of the zone who is like the least networking guy.
Okay.
I am more like on a personal like uh, consider it like a IC mindset, individual contributor mindset kind of.
Okay.
But I have seen that probably you need to have a good network and let's say a support system, right? And this part probably I feel that we are missing somewhere, and quite justified, right? Because we have our day lives, we have to
Hmm.
finish the assignments, quizzes, and all
And online, I think.
online, and we don't meet face to face, and what
Yeah.
we are knowing each other is mostly through our interactions in the lecture,
Interactions.
assignments, and all. But certainly this aspects, and I'm pretty sure the entire batch is very very like a diversified domain wise, computers
Exactly.
wise, and as a collective unit, I think as a AI/ML scope, right, we have the
Hmm.
entire knowledge.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the point should be that we kind of somehow bring this knowledge, and and probably one of the person he said was he advised was on this lines, right, that you might be a colleague,
Hmm.
but that colleague might not help you in the time of crunch.
Hmm.
But if you are a friend with him, probably he will drop his work and help you
Hmm.
because there is a production issue and you are not involved in that from day one, and you have suddenly gone into it, and you
Hmm.
it's outside your circle of competence. So that is
Right.
a time you have to call that guy. And probably this becoming a friend aspect,
Hmm.
I feel is like a we are more like a colleagues rather than a friend, right? That there might be friendship in pockets,
Hmm.
and I believe there would be study groups where the people are more bonded than
Ah.
others.
Yeah.
But certainly we should not miss this opportunity of having a wider network via this MTech course, because
Hmm.
this I was interacting with a STSM in our company, right? So I was telling I went for this knowledge. Then the only thing is that you should go there for networking.
Hmm. Okay.
You should go there
That's
for
good.
networking because and then he's higher up, right? And people it's true, it's true.
Right.
In the sense, networking helps. So I think this aspect I think needs to be worked in our batch. And then
Definitely.
we are like after this 3 months probably will be free, and then we have to do our dissertation. So probably
Exactly.
that semester is something which we need to have a, let's say, a meetup, this that exchange ideas, maybe become allies of each other.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's always networking is always there, no matter what's the program, what's the mode of program.
Right. So if anyone wants to reach you for something, what will be that area for where you consider yourself to be expert?
Okay, so if anyone wants to reach me, I would say since I'm into cloud domain, so how to execute ML workloads on cloud
Mm-hmm.
using the PaaS services
Mm-hmm.
like SageMaker, Azure ML, how to create instances, how to assign them, or how to create Docker containers, and all those things, which are essential for managing ML workflows,
Mm-hmm.
which
Right.
are crucial for productionalizing the ML model into the production into the environment so that can be consumed.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one aspect. Then the entire CI/CD, MLOps, if they want to, because I have done MLOps like quite a few times, and I can actually contribute and help in that MLOps case. Um, Other than that, I would say time series is one aspect where we are a lot into that. LLMs, I have done fine tuning, especially like a couple of open source LLMs I've fine tuned, but again, due to resource crunches and all, we did not go ahead. We went with OpenAI's GPT subscription, and that we use. But I have some aspects of LLM fine tuning, prompt engineering, that also I can help with. Um, Apart from that, distributed computing, Spark, especially PySpark, if they want some reference guidance, I do help there. How to integrate ML models with Spark is one area which we also have done. Usually, Spark is mostly done for data processing, but we can distribute a ML model with Spark as well. So that is one area.
Right, right. That's true. That's true. Yeah. And last question before I go, and we have like hour has passed, and it's an interesting conversation, right? So, have you thought about your dissertation subject? What you're going to choose?
Yeah, I have thought at least what I'm going to use predominantly, and that is GAN.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm going to apply, what all data points that I'll be applying. No, I'm not.
Oh, I
I
see. I see.
I need to figure out.
Uh-huh. And then probably we have like 3 months to make up our mind for that.
Actually, I need a bit of guidance there because I have like the data in my company setting and all, but I do see some, as I told, GNN use cases there, but that needs a bit of approval from my boss. So my boss needs to get involved. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is one aspect of the dissertation also, that I have to figure out or see if that is like that has to be done, because my boss is a very busy guy.
Mm-hmm.
Startups, people are like always loaded. They
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
expect they expect you
yeah.
to do it
Probably
basic.
that is a luxury the bigger companies provide, right? Given you have a larger pool to rely on as a mentor and all.
Hmm. Right, right. From mentor specific point, I don't have an issue because mentors, my mentor is like, he's also into research and all, but what data points
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to use and all that is what we have to figure out.
Yeah, so the data is a issue. That's when probably you need to do something which is related to your product,
Right.
so that so that they should treat you as a like a somebody doing a stretch activity, but
Hmm.
solving a complex problem of your company.
Yeah, yeah,
So
right, right.
if you project like that, probably you will get more access to data. And I agree. I mean, everybody is a data problem. Data is the problem, right?
Data is a startup data is a big problem.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that is one. Because we hunt for customers, and
Mm-hmm.
not all customers have good data,
Mm-hmm.
frankly speaking.
Right. What about, do you have PhD aspirations after this?
No, I as of now no, because I have already done, as I told him, we have done
Ah, I see.
one.
Mm-hmm.
I am doing this MTech. What I have aspirations is to crack into the top tech product companies. So I will actually start some interview preparations going forward, and then that is the current goal that I have.
Yeah,
But
so
PhD,
hold on this topic, and we will talk about it. And the reason being this might go on a YouTube or public forum, right? So yeah, so that's good, and that's fine. So it was good talking, Sunanda, and I see you as a guy who is like to the point in class, right? And somebody who is correcting the course of the class if the discussions are a bit here and there.
yeah,
So
that happened today.
no, no. I mean, I've seen you earlier as well, not today specifically. I mean,
uh,
you are. I believe you are one of the most punctual guys in the class. Yeah, I mean, who is there almost in every. Last question. So, tell me some aspect about yourself, personal life, which probably others are not too aware. I know you play guitar because I've seen that in your profile picture,
uh,
and so how much is your guitar life and anything other than this aspect from professional?
Actually, nowadays I'm not playing that much guitar. In fact, I last played guitar probably last year, before this MTech started.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just there because I have some good pictures of the guitar. But yeah, guitar is still there behind me.
Yeah.
It's an electric guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But more, what I'm into nowadays is spirituality actually. So, so I think one side of me which a lot of people don't know is that I'm very spiritual, and I do meditation, and like meditation for the not the sake of doing meditation, but to get into different dimensions of our mind, alter states of our mind, which we don't usually get into if we are like working and leading a normal like daily life. So connecting with high energy spaces or consecrated spaces is like what I really into. So temples and all. Actually, I recently came. I'll just conclude this. I recently came to know about something called Sri Yantra. So Sri Yantra is a cosmic geometry
Mm-hmm.
which is inspired by the fundamental energies of cosmos. Sri Yantra, if you project it, it's a divine geometry. It is worshipped. It has powers. It has energies of a lot of deities, as they say. There are mantras to energize that. But the most important thing is for me, if you take that Sri Yantra, it's a very complex geometry. It's not very easy to draw also. If you project it on in a mountain form, if you project that Sri Yantra, it becomes Meru Sri Yantra. That triangle is, if you put numbers to it, like 1, 3, 5, 8, it has properties of Pascal's triangle.
Mm-hmm.
It has properties of Pythagorean triplets. It has Pythagorean triplets into it.
Mm-hmm.
It can solve combinatorial problems if you just look at the triangle.
Mm-hmm. No, that's amazing. That's
That
amazing.
triangle is the basis or foundation of golden ratio, Fibonacci series, Pascal's triangle. Way before than even the scientists of 17th and 18th century in the West
Mm-hmm.
discovered this. It was already written in our Vedas.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it was written in um, I forgot, but one of the early scriptures of this Sri Yantra, Sri Vidya. So a lot of what I do, what we do in computing, computation, machine learning, combinatorics is combinatorial problems we deal with. That comes from the triangle, the Sri Andhra triangle. Also, the foundation of computation is binary system. It comes from Panini's Ashtadhyay, which is basically it has rules of grammar or Sanskrit grammar, where if you use them, it will form binary system. So the binary system is originated in the grammatical rules of Sanskrit,
Mm-hmm. Do, do
and that
you do you think the Westerners have studied our literature more than we have?
they have studied. Some may give credit to the Vedas, some don't. But we cannot, they cannot hide from the fact that it all has been captured by our Greek sages way before then. They were not just this, the entire universe, the earth is round. The before 16th, 17th century, scientists used to think that the earth was flat. But we knew from very beginning that Bhugol is the study of geography. Gol was there since eternity. Like what?
Yeah, yeah.
We knew earth was round.
So Bhugol is a Sanskrit word.
Yeah, it is a Sanskrit word.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
Even not just this, like universe, multiverse theory, which the scientists are like trying to explain through quantum physics and string theory and all. We have been dealing with multiverse theory in the Vedas since time immemorial.
Right, right, right. So do you think certain unexplainable facts of the Vedas might be solved using what we are learning today?
I would say some of the techniques that we are learning today is to decode this knowledge, because most of them is written in Sanskrit.
Mm-hmm.
And Sanskrit is a highly modular language.
Mm-hmm.
And treat Sanskrit equivalent to a computer program like C, C++, where we have modular structure,
Mm-hmm.
functions and all. Sanskrit is also like that. It has a very modular structure. In fact, you can search. There is a study by NASA on this also.
Mm-hmm.
So decoding Sanskrit, and I think that's where the next NLP class is going to be very important
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Indic language.
Yes, I am. I'm also looking forward to that,
I
and I'm hoping that it's covered in all its glory,
uh,
rather than just like bullet points, right?
nah, I don't think. I think she will do justice, because I checked AI for Bharat today a
Mm.
lot in depth. I knew their suite of products, but um, they have good Indic birds, Indic data sets also. And I think our prof is going to do a good job of explaining this Indic aspect. But I didn't see Sanskrit. That's where a lot of my, I mean, I'm very drawn to understanding Sanskrit, and also create a knowledge, not create, there's already a knowledge graph on Sanskrit by IIT Kanpur folks,
Mm-hmm.
but expand that Sanskrit knowledge graph to be used in certain translation work. That's what I am actually looking for in a bit of mid to long term as research.
Mm-hmm. I see. That's interesting area. That's very interesting area, in fact. And do you think there is a connection between music and some kind of correlation between music and let's say what we just covered?
Ah, I would start by saying music is based on sounds.
Hmm.
Sound is the root of all creation,
Mm-hmm.
including everything in our existence is just sound.
Hmm.
And so scientifically, if you go deep into it, you go to the, like, if you break down atoms to positrons, neutrinos, and all those, if you go down even deeper than that,
Mm-hmm.
you will arrive in the quantum realm. And quantum realm, they have weird theories, and one of those is string theory. And string theory is just stating that everything is a vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Vibration is sound. So what we are doing, it's not just what are we doing. It's just entire existence is sound. Interesting fact. There is this instrument called tanpura.
Mm-hmm.
Tanpura is played in Indian classical, where they have sa and pa
Right.
notes as background. They play. If any two strings of tanpura come to a same frequency,
Hmm.
like same tuning, exact tuning, if the frequencies match, one of the strings will break
Oh.
automatically.
Uh-huh.
There was this vocalist uh, who matched his voice pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this incident, I don't know where did it take, but there was this bridge, and the vocalist was able to match the frequency of the bridge, and the bridge collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen opera singers breaking
Mm.
glasses with
True,
their
true, true,
voice.
true. And then we had read about that way back in physics, right? That the army they restore with the file formation, right? The rank formation, they break
Uh,
on the bridge and all,
right, right, right.
because you never know what will match with the frequency of the bridge. Yeah, so
Ex-
very true, very true. Music is like everything is like sound, correct?
huh.
Yes, everything is sound. Good, awesome. So yeah, so um, if you happen to do some kind of research, I would be very happy to kind of to little. I don't have much knowledge like yours on this, because you are studying that as a curiosity and passion kind of thing, right? You have a natural. So certainly, if there be a need be to contribute in certain manner, definitely I.
Huh.
So
Like, even I don't know what's the starting point.
I know,
Like, to
I
be
know, I know, I know what you are feeling. But so what I feel is that given that we have taken this AI ML, right? there is a
Mm.
lot of opportunity to cross breed ideas. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So this the major research what will come out of is this cross breeding.
Mm.
We
Right.
and we have touched like everything. So
Right.
but definitely this cross breeding or fusion is
Mm.
what you are trying to do when you are trying to go this spiritual realm, right?
Mm.
And definitely something if effort is put, something novel will come out of that. So
Right. Right.
that's a good research area.
Actually, it started with this idea, which was given by one of the great philosophers of our country, Swami Vivekanand.
Hmm.
He said that science and spirituality are both two sides of the same coin.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
So it just they complement each other,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's how I was inspired.
Right. So see, even what we and this is my opinion, right? So basically, in ancient times, this we were given rules.
Mm.
We were given rules like direction where you should sleep.
Mm.
And we were not told the reason. We were just given as a rule.
Mm.
And probably the reason why it was done was that probably if you simplify it and give it as a fact, probably people will follow, right?
Mm.
And not everyone has a capacity to understand the deeper science part of it. So it
Mm.
was some higher up giving a direction to a lower and people following.
Mm.
But if you think about it, probably there is a much deeper,
Mm.
and do we sometimes have this tendency to call it superstition or not based in foundation, but
Exactly.
it looks like thought through.
Yeah, actually, lot of it is based on how to manipulate energy,
Yeah, yep, that's true.
and human beings have the capability to do that over above other species.
Hmm, 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 hmm.
A lot. I mean, if you go into the world of spirituality, there is something called chakras.
Hmm.
7 chakras are there, and the way you manipulate these chakras, you alter your reality. You can do even do things which are like totally weird for other people, like siddhis are supernatural powers.
Hmm.
So you can do a lot of things which would seem very bizarre to other normal folk, but uh, human beings have the capacity. So
Imagine AGI
mhm.
figuring out the siddhis, and
uh,
and and uh, and because these are things we are not able to explain, right? And given the huge amount of data, and when I say data, we are talking about this cosmos based data, right? We
mhm.
probably a NASA might have, a ISRO might have, correct?
Mhm.
And we talk about aligning of the stars and that kind of
Mhm.
this. So and we talk about the emergent properties, right?
Mhm.
And that it found some pattern which human never thought about.
Mhm.
So imagine, and this is wild, right? I'm going like a wild ride. Imagine those what we are talk about chakras and all. Imagine the AGI figuring that out, and to add to that, they have like a limbs and arms, which the domain of robotics capture, correct?
Huh. I mean,
Unless we are saying that this manis- manifestation of chakras is because of our organic form.
it is only specific to humans.
Hmm.
So chakras are something which are only there with human biological. It's not. I mean, it's more than biology, but only humans have that power. So AGI, even though if they have the idea, they won't be able to use it because humans have the power to do that. That's where the difference between a human and
Yeah, yeah.
AGI
So
would
so so
come
let's
into
hope
picture.
they never figure out and find a way, right? Because today is a complete distributed world. Who knows? Over the internet, they represent a brain.
They might have the information, but how much they would use is something we have to see. I mean, let the
Ah,
AGI come first, then we
yeah, yeah.
can think about those scenarios,
Wild,
Terminator
wild.
scenarios.
So I believe something might come, and that's my belief,
Yeah.
right? And this grades of the subjects are hinting towards it. So when I
Hmm.
say grades of this is the Yan Lacoon and all, right?
Infant and all.
They keep on saying, and they keep on saying about, and he keeps on saying that we are LLM is not will take us to AGI because they are not parameter efficient, or they
Hmm.
are not sample efficient, right? He says that a dog learns something in like a 10 commands or 20 commands repeated over once or twice in a day in a month, right? But this
Hmm.
LLMs are, so that is not a way to go. And
Hmm.
probably he's hinting towards other ways of achieving it, and then there is a limit to how much he can speak in public, correct, about, and then this being like a sensitive project or something, right? So but definitely people have been hinting towards it, and when it comes is very much suit their timings, right? When they are pretty sure that they would have made already enough money on top of it before announcing to the world. So I have a belief that it might come.
Hmm.
The timing is the thing. But the
Yeah.
good thing is that we are well placed to understand it to some extent,
Right.
and probably we are ahead on the wave, right? So
Hmm.
that's good thing. So with that, I think it's a long chat. I might have to edit the video. I'm thinking what part to eliminate because I think it's like 1.5 hours now,
Correct.
and
Correct. So,
initially we had planned like 15 minutes.
yeah.
So yeah, so let's see. So thanks, Sunanda, and
Yeah.
hopefully we will remain in touch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I will post your LinkedIn. You are in my LinkedIn list, so I will find from and post in the video just for others' reference.
Sure, sure. Yeah. I mean, thanks a lot for like having this conversation because I think this is the first time I'm doing something like this.
No, no,
At
no,
least,
no, that's okay. And part my thing is like one is to help the new guys coming in, right,
right,
on the
right,
journey, and the second aspect is more networking, knowing more about our colleagues, which as I told, is probably missing in our batch. So that's the
right.
intentions.
That's a great initiative. Actually, it's
Mhm,
a very good initiative and
mhm.
very noble cause. Also.
Yeah, I mean it's enriching for me as well. So
Yeah.
um, so
Exactly.
that's good. All right, I will leave you to enjoy the rest of your Sunday, Sunanda.
Sure,
Thank,
sure.
thank, Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot,
Bye,
Mukesh.
bye.
Good, good night.